Hello everyone, welcome back to Stoic Wisdom Today. You check your phone 100 times a day and still feel disconnected. Your calendar is full, but your soul feels empty. You're surrounded by noise, yet starving for peace. That's the paradox of our age, a hyper-connected, distracted world where depth gets drowned by constant buzz. We scroll endlessly, yet feel emptier. We text dozens of people daily, yet avoid 5 minutes alone. Some people even admit they fear silence more than chaos. Think about it. Many of us wake up and check emails before we even greet the person lying next to us. We eat while scrolling, walk while listening, wait while watching. Solitude is not just missing from our lives, it's something we actively run from. But why? Because solitude is where the real confrontation happens. Here is the part we often ignore. The cost of distraction is not just lost minutes, it is lost presence. It steals deep work, softens our attention, and frays our patience with the people we love. It shows up as shallow conversations, unfinished projects, and sleep that restores little. If your days feel crowded but thin, distraction is the quiet thief. This episode is about the power of solitude, not loneliness, not isolation, but chosen aloneness that restores strength and clarity. In the next minutes, you'll discover why we avoid solitude, boredom, silence, ourselves, what the Stoics like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius knew about the inner retreat, and 5 practical practices you can start today. Schedule silence, walk without stimulation, ask yourself aloud, fast from validation, and end the day in reflection. If you're ready to trade constant noise for steady strength, let's begin. Part 1. Why we avoid solitude. Why does solitude frighten us? Because in solitude we face things we spend most of our lives avoiding. We fear boredom. In a world where every idle second can be filled with scrolling, boredom feels unbearable. We fear silence. In silence, old thoughts, buried emotions, and unanswered questions rise to the surface. We fear ourselves. Alone, without the noise of the crowd, we are forced to confront who we really are. That's why we fill every gap with notifications, noise, numbness. But Epictetus warned, people are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them. And the view we take of solitude, we've made it scary, when in truth, it is sacred. Modern psychology confirms this. In one experiment, people were asked to sit quietly with no phone, no book, no distraction, just themselves. Many preferred to give themselves electric shocks rather than sit in silence. Imagine that, the mind running so fast that pain feels safer than stillness. Silence also surfaces open loops, the unfinished tasks, conversations, and promises our brains keep rehearsing. When we never sit still, those loops never close. The courage to pause lets the nervous system downshift, so attention can return from fight or flight to focus and choice. Growth begins exactly where avoidance ends. Part 2. The Stoic value of being alone. For the Stoics, solitude was not weakness, it was practice. A Stoic seeks solitude to hear their own voice again, clean the inner mirror, return to what matters. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Solitude isn't withdrawal, it is recalibration. Just as an archer steps back to aim, solitude helps you step back to realign. Think of Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, surrounded by war and politics. Yet in the quiet of his tent, he wrote meditations, not for the world but for himself. Or Seneca, who lived in bustling Rome, yet insisted on moments of retreat to preserve his inner freedom. These weren't escapes, they were acts of strength. Even Epictetus, once a slave, found freedom in his inner life. He could not control chains or masters, but he could cultivate an inner sanctuary. Solitude was the space where no tyrant had power. The point is simple. Solitude sharpens your compass and steadies your commitments. You step away to return better. You get quiet to hear what is truly yours to do. When you withdraw into solitude, you don't abandon the world, you prepare to serve it better. Part 3. Practices to strengthen solitude. Practice 1. Schedule silence like a meeting. Silence doesn't just happen, you must claim it. In our culture, calendars are packed with obligations. But how many people schedule silence with the same seriousness as a doctor's appointment? Imagine blocking off 15 minutes in your calendar that says, silence only. No phone, no music, no small talk, just you and quiet. At first it feels odd, even wasteful. You may sit there restless, waiting for it to end. But what if you treated that silence as the most important meeting of your day, a meeting with your own soul? The Stoics remind us that inner clarity is not found in the crowd, but in retreat. Over time, it will feel less like emptiness and more like fuel. That silence will stop being foreign and start being food. Practice 2. Walk without stimulation. Walking is one of the oldest medicines of the mind. Yet most of us can't even walk without plugging in headphones, scrolling feeds, or checking notifications. Try leaving all of that behind. Just walk. Feel your feet against the ground. Notice the rhythm of your breath. Listen to the natural world around you, the wind, the trees, even the distant hum of life. Neuroscience calls this the default mode network, the brain's creative autopilot that turns on when you are not distracted. Some of humanity's greatest ideas appeared not at desks, but during long, undistracted walks. Thoreau walked. Nietzsche walked. Steve Jobs walked. Leonardo da Vinci wandered for hours, sketching what he saw. What could your own walk, completely unplugged, bring to you? Perhaps clarity you've been chasing, or answers you've been avoiding. Practice 3. Ask yourself out loud. Most people live their lives repeating scripts given by culture, family, or society. But when was the last time you asked yourself directly, what do I actually believe today? Speaking it aloud matters. The Stoics practiced logos, putting thought into words, making the invisible visible. When you talk to yourself honestly, you break the illusion of borrowed opinions. You may be surprised by your own answers. Maybe you no longer believe what you thought you did. Maybe you discover a value you've been ignoring. Imagine standing in front of a mirror, looking into your own eyes and saying, "This is who I am today." That practice is not self-indulgence. It is self-alignment. As Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Practice 4. Fast from external validation. The hunger for approval is endless. Every like, every comment, every nod of recognition becomes another sip of salt water. It never satisfies. The Stoics warned us, what others think is not within our control. So try this. A weekend without posting, without checking how many people saw your story, without fishing for feedback. At first, you may feel restless, even invisible. But slowly, a new strength appears. You begin to taste freedom, freedom from the constant need for applause. Your worth is not a scoreboard. Your peace is not a poll. In solitude, you discover that validation from others is sweet, but not necessary. That realization makes you unshakable. Practice 5. End the day in quiet reflection. The day is noisy, but the night can be a sanctuary. Imagine closing the door, dimming the lights, lighting a single candle. Take out a notebook, just as Marcus Aurelius did nearly 2,000 years ago, and write a few lines. Ask yourself, did I live today from my center, or was I tossed by every reaction? What did I learn about myself? What will I carry into tomorrow? This ritual does not have to take more than 10 minutes, yet over time it builds a bridge between your days, giving your life coherence. Reflection turns experience into wisdom. Without it, days blur together. With it, solitude becomes your teacher. Part 4. The energy of Stoic solitude. Solitude builds self-reliance, clarity, emotional immunity, creative depth. It doesn't mean disliking people. It means you've learned to enjoy being whole, alone. The Stoic is alone often, but never lonely, because their own soul is a friend. Part 5. Stoic phrases that reclaim solitude. I retreat to renew, not to escape. Silence speaks what noise hides. Solitude sharpens my spirit. Alone is not empty, it's essential. My peace begins when I unplug. Conclusion. Rediscover the quiet within. Solitude is not running away from life. It is returning to yourself so you can return to life stronger. In silence, the mind sharpens. In reflection, emotions soften. In solitude, wisdom is born. The world around you will never quiet down. News, notifications, demands, they won't stop. But inside, you can choose a different rhythm. You can build a retreat that no one can take from you. And here's the truth. Solitude is not selfish, it's service. When you learn to sit with yourself, you also learn how to show up better for others. Your peace becomes their peace. So imagine tomorrow, you give yourself just 10 minutes of quiet, no phone, no noise, just you. What might change? Before you close this episode, make a simple plan. Pick one practice and give it an honest week. Write silence on your calendar, or take a device-free walk after lunch, or ask yourself one clear question each morning, or log off for the weekend, or close the day with 10 lines in a journal. Keep it small and keep it steady. Consistency is where solitude transforms from a nice idea into a strong habit. Tell a friend what you are trying, so you have gentle accountability without chasing applause. Notice the early signals. You breathe slower, you listen longer, you choose your words with care. The noise outside will still exist, but the volume inside will change. That is the promise of solitude. Less reactivity, more sovereignty. Daily. Remember, even the smallest act of solitude plants a seed. One quiet walk, one page in a journal, one evening without screens can ripple forward more than you expect. Begin where you are, with what you have, and let the practice grow naturally. Thank you for watching Stoic Wisdom today. If this spoke to you, comment, I choose solitude over noise. Please like, share, and subscribe so more people rediscover the quiet within. And as always, stay grounded, stay wise, and stay stoic.